August 18th, 1943, 2:34 in the afternoon. Over the freezing grey waters of the North Sea, a violent explosion tore through the right engine of a twin-boom American fighter. Flames burst from the cowling. Metal ripped away. The aircraft lurched sideways. Inside the cockpit sat 23-year-old Second Lieutenant Jack Ilfrey. Below him, 7,000 feet of empty ocean. Behind him, 3 German fighters closing fast. And ahead of him, 190 miles to England. Every manual said, bail out immediately. He didn't. Instead, he pushed the throttle forward. Who was Jack Ilfrey? Jack Ilfrey wasn't reckless. He was born July 23rd, 1920, in Houston, Texas. His father worked oil fields. His mother taught school. By age 12, he was building model airplanes. By 17, he had real flight time. When war came, he joined the U.S. Army Air Forces. Within months, he was flying one of the most advanced fighters in the world, the twin-engine Lockheed P-38 Lightning. Fast, powerful, long-range, but dangerously unstable if one engine failed. And that's exactly what just happened. Why the P-38 was dangerous on one engine. The P-38 wasn't like other fighters. 2 engines meant double power, but also double risk. If one engine quit, the remaining engine shoved the aircraft sideways with violent asymmetric thrust. At high speed, manageable. At low speed, deadly. The flight manual was clear: lose an engine below 10,000 feet, bail out. Above 10,000, you had minutes before control was lost. Ilfrey was below 8,000 feet and descending. The dogfight that triggered disaster earlier that afternoon, 12 P-38s from the 79th Fighter Group crossed into occupied Europe. Near the Dutch coast, radar detected German interceptors climbing. They were Messerschmitt Bf 109 fighters, fast, lethal, experienced. The skies exploded into chaos. Ilfrey chased one Bf 109, fired, and watched it fall in flames. His first confirmed kill. But in that moment of victory, he lost awareness. 3 more German fighters dropped onto his tail. He dove to escape. That's when his right engine exploded. The impossible math. His propeller seized. The engine tore itself apart. The aircraft yawed violently. Ilfrey fought the controls with full opposite rudder. He stabilized barely. He checked his gauges. Altitude 7,400 feet. Descent rate 200 feet per minute. Distance to England 190 miles. At that descent rate, he'd hit the ocean in 37 minutes. At his current speed, he needed over an hour to reach England. The math didn't work. And then he saw them, the 3 Bf-109s. They had watched the explosion. They knew he was crippled. They moved in for the kill, fighting 3 fighters on 1 engine. Ilfrey couldn't climb. He couldn't turn sharply. He could barely stay level. The lead German fighter closed to 600 yards. At 300 yards, it opened fire. Tracer rounds stitched toward him. Ilfrey kicked full rudder and skidded sideways. The German overshot. That was his only chance. He shoved the remaining engine past redline, beyond safe limits. The Allison engine screamed at 110% power. Oil temperature soared. The aircraft accelerated slightly, still slow, still descending, but alive, trading altitude for survival. The German fighters attacked in coordinated patterns: high, low, center. Ilfrey did the only thing he could. He dove. Speed built rapidly. 280, 300, 340 miles per hour. The P-38 was fast in a dive, even crippled. At 2,000 feet above the ocean, he pulled out. The Germans followed, but they were now 900 yards back, low on fuel. After 18 minutes of combat, the German fighters finally turned east and broke off. Ilfrey was alone, one engine, 1,800 feet above freezing water, 140 miles from England. Engineering genius in the sky. Now came the real battle, not against enemies, against physics. Ilfrey feathered the dead propeller to reduce drag. He leaned the fuel mixture to cool the engine. He carefully adjusted manifold pressure to find a balance point. Too much power? Engine explodes. Too little? He drowns. Finally, he found the narrow survival window, approximately 51 inches manifold pressure, 235 miles per hour, slow descent, barely manageable. If the engine lasted 30 minutes, he might live. The final minutes, at 3:47 p.m., he crossed the English coast. Altitude under 400 feet, oil temperature catastrophic. He radioed for emergency landing clearance. As he approached the runway, white smoke poured from the engine at 200 feet above the ground. The engine died. Completely, the Lockheed P-38 Lightning became a glider. Ilfrey held his glide path, flared perfectly, touched down, rolled to a stop. After 87 minutes on a single engine that couldn't fly. What happened next? Engineers inspected the aircraft. The destroyed engine had run dry for 15 minutes. It should have seized long before. His report was sent up the chain of command. Testing confirmed something shocking. The P-38 could survive extended single-engine flight, if flown precisely. Training doctrine was updated. From late 1943 onward, dozens of pilots brought damaged P-38s home using Ilfrey's method. 54 men survived who likely would have died. Legacy Jack Ilfrey went on to score 8 aerial victories. After the war, he returned to civilian aviation. He rarely talked about that day. When asked years later, he simply said, "It wasn't heroism, it was math." But sometimes math requires courage. On August 18, 1943, over the North Sea, a 23-year-old pilot refused to accept what the manual said was impossible. And because he did, dozens of others lived. If this story moved you, share it. Because history doesn't survive by accident. It survives because people remember. And today, you remembered Jack Ilfrey.